So SDF went on to Discord last night, and over the course of about like 3 hours or so, I think he was just watching the Discord, and like I think he's got an issue where he wants his vision to be his vision, and at the same time he's trying to make everybody, if he could, which he'll never please everyone, but I think he's trying to make it in a way where, you know, the vast majority of people are enjoying it. But he's making like these wide swathing changes, and then when they get rejected, you know, because it's the fucking internet, people pop off at the mouth. And because they've been so communicative and so open, and because he leaves his DMs open, I'm sure that people in the Discord have been sending him just reading what they've been writing in the general chat has been wild. And for the most part, I mean, like, people that actually have like a brain in their head, I don't think are being like overly toxic. They just want the game to improve. But, you know, of course, there's like the one-offs and the fucking preteens that tell people to themselves and shit. It's just weird. But anyway, so he hopped on Discord and he wrote, "It's so sad to see the players not happy," and then they just started roasting the shit out of him. But the cool thing is that he said he didn't take any pleasure from acquiring gear. This will change tomorrow. So that he wrote that at like 5 a.m. 4:30 a.m. 7 a.m. my time. This is West Coast. This is the screen cap that NBoss sent. But he wrote this saying that he didn't get any pleasure from acquiring the gear. Can't pursue what I want while ignoring our players' grief. So like, he's obviously listening. He's trying to be receptive. He's trying to give people what they want, which I'm okay with. I would prefer that whatever guns that he has, that he tends to stick to them more than he doesn't, because I think when you start just catering to players and the squeaky wheel getting the oil and all that, and people just bitching, they have a tendency to look like they're just cowing, and giving people what they want isn't always the right answer. I do think, though, that the player base in this case saying that like the looting and stuff doesn't feel rewarding are right. I think that's true. I would like to see some kind of a middle ground, though. Like, give a big enough carrot for people to want to pursue so that it feels like it's something that they're going to achieve or get some amount of achievement, and at the same time balance the combat in a way where it feels rewarding to still like PvP with each other, but doesn't hurt so bad that you don't want to like bother coming back and playing the game again. Because I think that's where they're at, right? Like the lack of loot would hurt so much that, you know, people that were trying to learn or people that weren't that proficient just didn't want to pick the game back up. So I think that's kind of where they've got to get to, and I think they can. You know, I think they can. I've been critical of the last patch 69. Ever since patch 69, I've been critical of it like right along. I've been one of the most critical people, I think, vocally. I just try to do it in a way that was respectful. Like, I like SDF, right? Like, I like the guys working in Iron Mace. I think that they do, or are trying to do, a good job, you know, as people. And I think that any of the guys that are popping off at the mouth thanks to the anonymity of the internet, if they were standing in front of him, probably shake his hand and be like, "I love your game." You know, I find it far-fetched to think that they would stand in front of him and tell him that their game sucks. Like, right to their face. Things in his vision, he didn't take the time to understand how it affects things, but I don't know, man. Like I said, I think he's trying to rope it in. It's a big learning experience for everyone, you know? He's never ran a studio before. I mean, he's ran teams before. He's made games that people like, and he obviously made this one, and this one is something that people like. It's just they didn't like the last patch. And I don't think you can omit, like, you know, a year and a half worth of a halfway decent game that people clearly enjoy playing, because, you know, it's still got the same player counts as it did months ago, at least on average. I mean, yeah, they've been going down, but they always go down in cycles like this. I mean, that's nothing new. But they definitely found their base, you know? Can he roll it back? I mean, he can. I don't know if he wants to roll it back, though. I actually don't mind the direction that he's moving in. I just think it was way too excessive, right? Like, I'm actually fine with, like, more skill expression style of gameplay, and I'm fine with them trying to level the playing field a little bit more. But they still need to make it feel like when you're progressing and getting, like, new shit, that the new shit actually feels like it was rewarding enough to obtain. Like, that's kind of like, it's not an easy thing for them to try and figure out. Like, I'm looking at it like, damn, like, this is going to be a pain in the ass. What's the reason they're not using the test server? No one plays on it. That's why. You get like 50 dudes in an hour. That's it. As opposed to the 20,000 or whatever that are on at any given moment. You can't use the test server on Steam either. No, it's only for the people that have access to tests are the people that bought the game off of the old launcher back when they couldn't be on Steam. They played it to test Druid when Druid wasn't in the game, like it wasn't on Steam. The majority of people that are playing this game at this point, I think, are accessing it from Steam, and there's an awful lot of people that are like on the free-to-play side, you know? Like I said, they would have only like hardly any testers. Like, no one plays on the test server. I've actually had talks with people like on the CM side about test, and they said that like the numbers for people that actually do testing on it are atrocious, and the only reason why people even play on it is so they can experience new stuff. People will go in there for like an hour, check out the new shit, shit, whatever's different, they will either praise or complain about it on socials, and no one sends any bug reports. No one. So add rewards for testing, some incentive, anything. I mean, yeah, they could. Sure, there's a lot of different things that they can do. I'm sure they could. I'm just telling you the reason why they don't use test server that much. No one's on it. No one uses it. And the test server right now is, it's not current patch anyway, but last I haven't even tried. I tested Druid for a while in test server. Well, yeah, dude, I get that they're obviously, I'm not going to say like, I know that I'm using broad generalized statements. I'm talking on like a macro level, right? It's not like you have 10,000 concurrent players daily on the test server, right? You have like 50, maybe 50. When they went to do the matchmaking change update and stuff, and like we're looking at removing the lobby, I want to say that I sat in queue for 15 minutes sometimes trying to get a match because there was literally no one. So, and that was when the patch came out. We couldn't find a match at all. So I'm just saying, like, there's a vast difference between a virtual handful of people that, want to test it and like go through it and check out different stats. And then there's like, 100,000 people over the course of a day, 75,000 people over the course of the day, like logging in and playing the game. So you're going to find shit a whole lot faster when you do it that way. And the tested changes being a different map in a way. For Honor did that since their test server seemed unappealing. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea either. I don't know how the hell they would parallel it though, where you would have like main game versus like a test branch on the same client. I don't know how they would manage that, but maybe they could. Event for test servers, 3 specific days times a week. And I don't know. Like we all agree that it needs to be more fleshed out than what it was, right? Like I think we can all agree on the patches when they, well, at least in this case, because like I know that people want to hold their feet to the fire and everybody wants to crucify SDF and say that like whenever they put out a patch, it's a bad one, but like not for nothing. Patch 68 was a fucking banger. There wasn't shit wrong with that. That felt amazing. Aside from like, unique items not dropping out of treasure piles and stuff, like really minor shit. That patch was a fucking banger. They've had a lot of winners. This was just like patch 69. It went from like the highest of highs to like the lowest of lows. 69 was probably like the worst patch I've ever seen them do. There's got to be one, right? There's going to be one. But I mean, it's all right. We're just getting the big L out of the way. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. I agree that it felt rushed, and I don't know how it made it to print the way that it was. It could just be like it didn't have enough time in the office for them to do internal testing and test out the balance changes, and they were under the impression that one thing was one way when it wasn't. I don't know, but I feel like there should be like at the very least, if we're talking about like balancing stuff, I feel like at the very least there should be like focus groups of like classes in balance adjustments getting made based off of like groups of like people on leaderboards or whatever that have been relatively proficient in playing their class, guys that have hours in it, or if they can look at it statistically and like grab people, not content creators, but people like statistically that they can see like, okay, well this account has 1,000 hours on Barbarian or whatever, and pull them in and talk to them about like, pull in like 15 or 20 of those people from each class, put them all together in a room, whatever, and talk to them about like how the shit works. I think they would get really far with balance stuff if they actually got an idea of like what people are doing that play the game a lot and have a good firm understanding of like, team play dynamics and class breakdowns. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it feels like the changes that get made based on like looking at sheet data or something without understanding that certain aspects of gameplay, when you change statistics like rage as much as they did, it makes it like crazy fucking strong after all of the other gear changes and shit that you made. It just makes the problem even larger. So doesn't sound like Barb is getting a nerf. I mean, they literally just got nerfed. And they probably should get nerfed again.